What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Crypto Cabin. My name is Tom, and in today's video we are going to be talking about Bitcoin technical analysis. We're going to take a look at a couple of articles and see how they fit in with the technical analysis that I've personally done, and let's take a look and see where Bitcoin's going to go, I think, in the short term, maybe next week, next month, and so on and so forth. If you are new to the channel, please make sure to leave a like, hit the subscribe button, and click the notification bell. Select all to get notified for when I post new videos. Also, feel free to leave any comments down below and let me know any new projects or things that you want me to talk about on YouTube. So, without any further ado, let's jump right in. Alright, so the first article we're going to talk about here is that there is a particular on-chain metric that's just retested a specific level that kind of screams that there is, going to be more upside coming ahead. So it's happened in the past 2 cycles, and I'll show you what I mean here in this article. But this on-chain metric is called the net unrealized profit and loss. So if you don't know what this is, basically it's something that helps us to say whether the market as a whole is currently in a profit or a loss. So it is determined by looking at when each coin on the blockchain was last transacted and where that coin stands today in terms of value gained and or lost. So let's say you bought Bitcoin when it was at 65,000 or just under 65,000. You would now be at a loss or an unrealized loss if you haven't sold yet. If you had bought at 30,000, you would be at an unrealized profit, because as long as you still haven't sold that yet. It's all the coins that are still on the blockchain based on when they were last purchased, and whether they are up or down from the time that they were purchased. So this is the indicator where any time it is above 0, that means that the network as a whole is currently in profit. And on the other hand, when the metric's value is below 0, it means that on average everybody would be at a loss. So here's what the chart kind of looks like. This one is nice and color-coded as well for when we get above certain ranges. So whenever we get above this 0.75 range, that usually means that we are in a state of euphoria or greed, because the vast majority of people are in profit. When we're at 50%, that's what kind of where we're at right now. That's the level that we are testing. So at this value, that means that the unrealized profit in the market is equal to about 50% of the market cap. So Bitcoin's current market cap, if we go over here, is roughly 900, and at the time it was written, it was probably closer to $900 billion. But when we go back to the article, say it's roughly 450 to 475. That is, currently in unrealized profit. So that's the total number there. It just bounced off this NUPL, or net realized unrealized profit and loss. It's often called the NUPL, so if I refer to it as that, that's what I mean. It just bounced off of the 50.50 line. So this is looking very, very similar to what has happened before. So a lot of people are referring to this cycle being very similar to the 2013-2014 cycle, where we kind of had 2 peaks. We didn't quite get into the blue here, but we did come back down. And so this mid-cycle correction here, plus the retest, is actually very, very similar to what happened there. So there is potential for that to now, after this retest, continue on back up and potentially get up near this blue zone or just below this 0.75 mark where we kind of dipped down from last time. As well, in 2017, we had this kind of double retest here when it just kind of went slightly into the yellow, slightly below that 0.5, and then after that it never got back to those levels again. And you can see that this is the black line is the price here. It just kind of continually, we did have some drawbacks of course along the way, but the price was generally speaking up from there after this retest point. So basically this article recaps what I just said there. Similar retests took place in both 2013 and 2017. Now 2021, Bitcoin seems to be going through cycles that are very close to 4 years. So we got 2013, 2017, 2021. It's all kind of lining up. You know, they say history doesn't necessarily repeat exactly, but it sure rhymes. That seems to be what is happening here as well. So in both cycles, as it says, the price did continue to rally higher. So what does this mean for the current Bitcoin price? Well, if the retest is similar to what happened before, then obviously the price is going to head up. Like I said, if history is rhyming, that is in the cards for sure. However, if the retest fails and we continue to drop below this 0.50 mark, then there could be sell-off as people that are in profit. Half the people are in profit. You got to think about that. So if we start going a little lower, it could trigger more people selling off to realize those gains. However, Bitcoin is now becoming a store of value, and a lot of people that have bought Bitcoin or that are holding it right now bought it years and years and years ago. So their risk is way, way less than somebody who just bought Bitcoin today or bought Bitcoin at 65K, right? So we got to take that into account as well. The second article here that I wanted to chat with you guys about is from Ronaldo Marquez asking, is 50K a fake out? Bitcoin trading volume isn't picking up with price action. So that is always something that we want to look at too, is when you're doing your TA, making sure that the volume is supporting that breakout. And so he's saying here that the firm or Arcane Research believes that 46 to 48K is going to potentially act as really, really good support. Despite going to 50K, trading volumes have appeared to decline, and this suggests a lack of demand in order to sustain the rally. So we have seen a slight decrease in volume. When we go over, I am predominantly doing my trading over at Bybit. Again, you can kind of see these little green lines down here. So if I bring out a trend line here, you can kind of see that the trend is, it's decreasing. We've got a negative line going there. So the volume is slightly decreasing since we kind of have had this run up here. They also say that the 46 to 48K range is going to be a really good level of support, or so they think. Previously, we had 30K kind of back in here as kind of this range where there was a ton. You can see kind of between I guess 35 and just over 30. There was a lot of volume traded within this range here, and that then acted as super good support, and there was some volume traded there way before. Then we had a bunch of volume traded between this kind of 37 and 42 range. That was a big area. And now we've also got this range here where it kind of blasted through in between, this 42 range, like I said, blasted through there. And now we are hanging out kind of in this, it says 46 to 48 range, but I would maybe even bring this, the article does anyway, I would maybe even bring this down here a little bit lower to bring in these kind of bottoms here. So this is a range where there's a lot of volume traded between about 44.5 and right around 48. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do see a dip back down into this range, of course, or we come down to retest the support line of 48 at least, because we have been on a pretty big run. And when we look at the RSI and stochastic RSI, we are getting into overbought territory. Anything above this kind of 70, anything above 70 is getting into the overbought territory, and we are there on the RSI, and on the stochastic RSI here, anything above 80 is getting into that territory too. So as we can see, every time we kind of come up here, we get a correction back down, come up to get above 80, we get a correction back down. So I personally would be skeptical of entering into a long right now. Also, if you do anything with Bollinger Bands, we're pushing at the upward edge of that band, so it is likely to come back down at some point for a light, like I said, come back down into this 46 to 48K range. I would not be surprised on that at all. However, there is a price target that could still be met here. We have a bit of a cup and a handle that was formed there. So what that means is that the price target for that would be kind of from the top of the cup all the way down to the bottom here. And then we take that line and apply it to the breakout. So this breakout price target is all the way up at just over 55.4 roughly. So that is the price target for this breakout, and we have broken out, and we did have on this breakout, well, from above here, we did have good volume there, or high-ish volume, and like I said, volume has been decreasing, but we did get decent volume here. The price target's there. We do have this resistance here at about 53, just below 53. We don't know exactly, obviously, what is going to happen next, but that would be the most, in the near future here, that would be the most bullish scenario, in my opinion, is that we could go up to 55, come back down, maybe we consolidate around this 53 level, and then potentially come back down to test this section once again, even if it's just like a wick down into 48, 47, and then continue on higher. But when you look at any of the past bull runs, like it's never straight up. If we look at Bitcoin all time here, if we zoom in on the 2017 portion, you can see that it was, if you can follow this little green dot there, up, down, up, down, up, down, and then this last little bit looked like this is the parabolic phase that we're talking about here. Let's get back to this article here to finish up. Analyst Mike McGlone, he's from Bloomberg. He expects there to be more appreciation in Q4 of 2021, like I believe most people do, because somehow, Bitcoin has managed to turn short-term factors into long-term bullish factors. So, like the China ban, every time China bans crypto, it usually does a short-term dump and then more of a pump afterward, the majority of the time. Also, miners have slowly migrated out of the country as they've kind of been forced to, and that leads to more of a decentralization. Like at one time, China had, I think, over half of the hash rate, but now with them, those miners needing to leave, there should be more decentralization in the hash rate, which should be good for Bitcoin long term. And then two main factors that have driven Bitcoin's price rally since March 2020 and, arguably since its inception are still the same. Increasing demand with a decreasing supply. There's less and less Bitcoin being mined and made every day, and more people are coming into the space wanting to get a small piece of it. So that's, like I've talked about before, basic economics 101. As demand increases and supply decreases or stays the same, price is going to go up. So in Q4 2021, he's arguing that the 40,000 could become the new 30,000 that happened before, right? Like I talked about back here, this 30,000 mark that was back in July, he is arguing that the 40,000 here that we just tested is this number here, and we should continue to go on up from there. He also states that their graphic, is depicting a quarterly bull flag consolidation pattern. So like I showed you over here, I had kind of that cup and handle. But if he's talking about quarterly, as in from the start of October, perhaps, start of October was here. So he could be looking at, we're talking about this as kind of the bull flag here. And then the target for that was actually the exact same, up around 55.4. That's what he's probably talking about. That's what is another indicator of why he believes that this is going to continue higher, which, as you see here, if you did treat it as a bull flag or a cup and handle, the pattern did break out, and the price target is the same actually for both of those. He also says that if Bitcoin, ends up being close to where the Bloomberg Galaxy Crypto Index is at in regards to the gains that it's had this year to date so far, Bitcoin should be closer to 70,000 right now. So what he's talking about there is year to date for this BGCI index is close to 170%. The Bitcoin year to date is 75%. So if Bitcoin started the year at about 29,000, if Bitcoin were to catch up to this, it should be closer to 70K or maybe even slightly above 70K. That's what he's referring to there. So, as always, there is the bullish narrative and the bearish narrative. Currently, what I'm seeing in the charts would lead me to believe that there's going to be a short-term pullback unless we continue to 55-ish. That would be about as high as we would go, and then see a pullback back to test this 47, 48K range before continuing higher. Long term, I am bullish on Bitcoin. I am bullish on crypto. However, when you're looking at day trading, you got to take a look at all these other small aspects too, right? So that is my technical analysis today for Tuesday, October 5th. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. There are a few links in the description down below to just places that I have used before. They are referral links, so if you want to support the channel and you want to get started in crypto in any way, shape, or form, please use the links down below as it helps support the channel quite a bit. And let me know if you have any questions about any of those links. If you stuck around all the way to the end, thank you so much, and we'll catch you on the next episode from the Crypto Cabin.